A drone strike hit Egypt's Damietta port on July the 29th, setting fire to the US-owned Energos winter floating storage and regasification unit and the nearby gas log Salem. Security sources examining the wreckage say at least two drones were involved, penetrating several layers of Egypt's air defenses in the process. No one was injured. The port eventually stayed open, with Egypt's Ministry of Transport confirming normal vessel traffic and cargo handling across all terminals. By the way, no group has yet claimed responsibility. Those are the facts. What they mean is the more interesting question, and it has several possible answers. My name is Areski Daoud. I am a geopolitical analyst and editor of the North Africa Journal. So the most straightforward reading is that this was a demonstration. Damietta, as you know, sits well outside the main battlefields of the current Middle East war, and a multi-drone strike that got past layers and layers and layers of air defenses shows planning, not opportunism. Hitting a gas handling asset at a major port rather than a purely symbolic target tells everyone watching that distance from the fighting in the Gulf no longer guarantees safety. Ports, pipelines, as well as storage terminals across the region now have to price in the possibility that they are reachable. The Energos winter is not a minor asset. It carries a regasification capacity of about 450 million cubic feet per day. That's roughly 7% of Egypt's daily gas consumption and 16% of its total LNG receiving and regasification capacity. Taking that offline, even temporarily, by the way, has real consequences for Egypt's gas balance during peak summer demand. A strike calibrated to hit something that matters rather than something merely visible or symbolic points towards a message intended for state and market audiences alike. The more strategically interesting explanation involves Saudi Arabia. Riyadh has spent the past year pushing harder on pipeline and routing options that move crude away from the Strait of Hormuz towards the Red Sea and the Mediterranean pathways, several of which run through or depend on Egyptian infrastructure. If Damietta is read through that lens, the strike looks less like an attack on Egypt and more like an attack on the exit ramps that Gulf producers are building to avoid the most dangerous choke points.